My dear friends, as we gather here today, I find myself compelled to address a profound paradox that lies at the heart of human relationships. A pattern so deeply embedded in our collective psyche that it shapes the very essence of how we love and how we respond to being loved. The phenomenon I speak of manifests in a peculiar truth. Those who truly love you will, at times, appear to ignore you, while simultaneously demonstrating their devotion through specific, meaningful actions. Let us delve into the depths of this psychological reality, for it is far more complex than it appears on the surface. In my years of studying the human psyche, I have observed that authentic love operates in ways that often seem contradictory to our conscious expectations. This paradox emerges from the intersection of our individual consciousness and what I have termed the collective unconscious. That vast reservoir of shared human experience that influences our behaviors in ways we rarely comprehend. Consider, if you will, the nature of genuine love. It is not, as many might assume, a constant stream of attention and validation. Rather, it manifests as a force that respects the individual's need for psychological development and personal growth. Those who truly love you understand, perhaps unconsciously, that continuous attention can become a form of psychological suffocation, a barrier to the development of the self. This brings us to a crucial understanding, the apparent paradox of love's simultaneous presence and absence. When someone truly loves you, they innately recognize the necessity of creating space for your individuation process, the journey toward becoming your complete self. This space, which might be misinterpreted as ignorance or neglect, is actually a profound form of respect for your psychological development. Let me share with you an observation from my clinical work. I once encountered a young woman who was deeply troubled by what she perceived as her partner's occasional emotional distance. She interpreted these moments of separation as signs of waning affection. However, upon deeper analysis, we discovered that during these periods of apparent distance, her partner was actively engaged in actions that demonstrated profound care, arranging opportunities for personal growth, supporting her ambitions from afar, and creating space for her to develop her own identity independent of their relationship. This pattern reflects what I have observed as a fundamental truth. Genuine love often manifests through actions that support the beloved's journey toward individuation, rather than through constant attention that might impede this crucial psychological process. The individuals who truly love you will demonstrate this through specific behaviors that might seem paradoxical at first glance. They will respect your silence when you need to process your thoughts, understanding that psychological growth often requires solitude. This might appear as ignorance to the untrained eye, but it is in fact a sophisticated form of emotional intelligence. They recognize that the psyche, like a delicate flower, needs both sunlight and shade to grow to its full potential. Consider the archetypal pattern of the hero's journey, which I have studied extensively. The hero must often depart from the familiar, face challenges alone, and undergo transformation in solitude. Those who truly love you will understand this principle on a deep, perhaps unconscious level. They will give you the space to be your own hero, to face your own dragons, while remaining steadfast in their support of your journey. This brings us to another crucial aspect of this psychological dynamic, the actions that truly loving individuals will take. They will demonstrate their love, not through constant presence or unending attention, but through meaningful actions that support your growth and development. They will remember the subtle details of your aspirations and work quietly to help you achieve them. They will create opportunities for your advancement without seeking recognition for their efforts. The psychological reason behind this behavior lies in what I have observed as the authentic understanding of the individuation process. Those who genuinely love you have, consciously or unconsciously, grasped that true love must serve the development of the complete personality. They understand that this development often requires space, challenge, and even temporary separation. Let me illustrate this through another example from my observations. I once worked with a mentor who demonstrated this principle perfectly. He would often step back, allowing his protege to struggle with complex problems, appearing to ignore their request for immediate help. However, during these periods of apparent neglect, he was carefully arranging opportunities for learning, creating networks for future success, and preparing resources that would become valuable at the right moment. This is the essence of what I am describing: love that operates through meaningful action rather than constant attention. The psychological mechanism at work here is fascinating. It involves what I would term the conscious withdrawal of projection. When someone truly loves you, they see you not as an extension of their own psyche, not as a vessel for their projections, but as an individual with your own psychological journey. This recognition leads them to act in ways that might seem counterintuitive to those who understand love only in its more primitive, attachment-based forms. This brings us to a critical understanding about the nature of true love and its manifestation in human relationships. The individuals who genuinely love you will demonstrate this through a sophisticated balance of presence and absence, of action and restraint. They will show their love not through constant attention, which can often be a form of psychological possession, but through actions that respect and support your individual journey. Consider the symbolism inherent in this dynamic. Just as the moon does not constantly shine its full face upon the earth, yet consistently influences the tides and rhythms of life, those who truly love you will maintain their influence on your life, even during periods of apparent distance. This is not abandonment or neglect, but rather a sophisticated form of support that recognizes the necessity of psychological space for growth and development. The actions of those who truly love you will often be subtle yet profound. They might manifest as opportunities, arranged without fanfare, as quiet support during challenges, as resources provided at crucial moments. These individuals understand, perhaps intuitively, that love is not about maintaining constant visible presence, but about supporting the beloved's journey towards psychological wholeness. This understanding challenges our conventional notions of love and attention. Many individuals, influenced by what I would term the persona-driven understanding of love, believe that true affection must be constantly demonstrated through obvious attention and immediate response. However, the deeper psychological truth reveals that authentic love often operates through more sophisticated mechanisms. Those who truly love you will demonstrate this through their respect for your psychological boundaries, their understanding of your need for solitude, and their support of your individual journey. They will show their love not through constant intervention, but through actions that facilitate your growth and development. Let us examine the practical manifestations of this truth. These individuals will remember your goals and aspirations, often working behind the scenes to create opportunities for their realization. They will respect your need for silence when you are processing complex emotions or ideas. They will maintain their support even when you appear to be moving in directions they might not fully understand. This pattern reflects a sophisticated understanding of human psychological development. It recognizes that growth often requires space, that development frequently necessitates struggle, and that true love supports these processes rather than attempting to circumvent them through constant attention and intervention. The psychological reason for this behavior lies in what I would term the integrated understanding of love. Those who truly love you have developed beyond the primitive need for constant connection and have achieved a more sophisticated comprehension of human psychological needs. They understand that love must serve the development of the complete personality, not just provide temporary emotional comfort. This brings us to a deeper exploration of the shadow aspects of love and attention. You see, my friends, when we speak of those who truly love us appearing to ignore us while demonstrating their devotion through actions, we must confront an uncomfortable truth. Our own shadow projections often blind us to the authentic manifestations of love in our lives. Consider how our early experiences shape our expectations of love. Many individuals carry what I term the wounded child archetype, a pattern of expecting love to manifest as constant attention, validation, and immediate response. This expectation, born from our earliest experiences with caregivers, can prevent us from recognizing the more mature, sophisticated expressions of love that support our psychological growth. I have observed in my clinical work a recurring pattern. Those who struggle most with periods of perceived ignoring are often those who have not yet integrated their shadow aspects of independence. They mistake psychological space for abandonment, interpreting the absence of constant attention as the absence of love itself. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the psyche's needs for both connection and separation. Let me share with you an illuminating case from my observations. A brilliant young scientist came to me, deeply troubled by what he perceived as his mentor's indifference. This mentor would go weeks without direct communication, leading my patient to question his value and worth. However, as we explored the situation more deeply, a fascinating pattern emerged. During these periods of apparent silence, the mentor was actively promoting his protege's work in academic circles, creating opportunities for research funding and carefully orchestrating collaborations that would prove invaluable to the young scientist's career. This pattern exemplifies what I call the paradox of conscious love. The understanding that true love often operates most powerfully in the spaces between direct interaction. Those who genuinely love you will grasp this truth, perhaps not intellectually, but at the level of the collective unconscious. They understand that constant interaction can actually impede the crucial process of individuation. Consider the alchemical principle of separation and conjunction. In the psychological process of individuation, we must experience both separation and unity, both distance and closeness. Those who truly love you will intuitively understand this necessity. They will create space for your psychological transformation while maintaining a steady, supportive presence in your life. This brings us to another crucial aspect of this dynamic, the anima and animus projections in relationships. Often, when we expect constant attention from those who love us, we are actually seeking to fulfill unmet needs from our relationship with our contrasexual archetypal images. True love, however, transcends these projections. It operates at a level where the individual is seen and supported in their totality, not just in their ability to fulfill our unconscious needs. The psychological mechanism behind this phenomenon is fascinating. When someone truly loves you, they have typically achieved what I would term a differentiated consciousness regarding their relationship with you. They can distinguish between their projections and your actual needs, between a desire to maintain constant connection and your requirement for psychological space. Let us explore the manifestation of this truth in various life contexts. In professional relationships, those who truly support your growth will often step back, allowing you to face challenges independently, while quietly arranging resources for your success. In personal relationships, genuine love often manifests as a respect for your psychological boundaries, an understanding of your need for solitude, and a commitment to supporting your growth, even when it creates temporary distance. This pattern extends to what I have observed as the archetypal mentor-student relationship in its highest form. The true mentor, like those who truly love you, understands that constant guidance can become a form of psychological dependency. Instead, they create spaces for independent growth while maintaining a supportive presence that manifests through meaningful actions rather than constant attention. Consider the symbolic significance of this dynamic. Just as the earth requires both day and night for life to flourish, the psyche requires both periods of intense connection and periods of apparent separation for healthy development. Those who truly love you will understand this rhythm intuitively, respecting the necessary cycles of engagement and withdrawal. The actions of genuine love often manifest in what I term the background consciousness of the relationship. While they may appear to be ignoring you on the surface, these individuals are actively engaged in supporting your development through actions that may not be immediately visible, but have profound long-term impact on your growth and success. This brings us to an essential understanding about the nature of psychological maturity in love. Those who truly love you will have developed beyond the primitive need for constant validation of their importance in your life. They will have achieved what I would term an integrated understanding of love's role in psychological development. These individuals will demonstrate their love through what I call conscious action patterns, behaviors that support your growth and development while respecting your need for psychological space. They might arrange opportunities for your advancement without seeking recognition. They might maintain networks that become valuable to your journey without drawing attention to their efforts. They might prepare resources that become crucial at exactly the right moment in your development. The psychological sophistication of this love pattern cannot be overstated. It requires a level of emotional and psychological development that transcends the ego's need for constant acknowledgement. Those who truly love you will have achieved this level of development, enabling them to support your growth through actions that might appear as ignorance to those who understand love only in its more primitive forms. Let us examine the practical manifestations of this truth in daily life. These individuals will remember the subtle details of your aspirations, working quietly to help you achieve them. They will respect your need for silence when processing complex emotions or ideas. They will maintain their support even when your path diverges from their expectations or understanding. This pattern reflects what I would term the individuated expression of love, love that has evolved beyond the need for constant external validation and operates in service of the beloved's psychological development. It manifests through actions that support growth while respecting the necessary spaces in which that growth occurs. Now let us delve deeper into what I have observed as the transformative paradox in relationships of genuine depth. The phenomenon we are exploring, where true love manifests through apparent distance coupled with meaningful action, connects intimately with what I term the individuation imperative in human psychological development. Consider, if you will, the profound psychological mechanism at work when someone truly loves you. These individuals have typically achieved what I would call a differentiated consciousness in their understanding of human connection. They have transcended the primitive fusion archetype, where love is mistakenly equated with constant merger and unending attention. In my decades of observing human psychological patterns, I have noticed a fascinating correlation between the depth of love and the sophistication of its expression. Those who truly love you will operate from what I term the integrated self position, a psychological state where they can maintain their own center while supporting your journey without the need for constant validation. Let me share with you a revealing pattern I observed in a long-term study of successful mentor-protege relationships. The most effective mentors, those who produce the most accomplished and psychologically integrated proteges, were often described as distant or absent during crucial periods of development. However, upon close examination, these periods of apparent absence were actually times of intense behind-the-scenes activity, where the mentor was actively creating opportunities, removing obstacles, and preparing resources for their protege's advancement. This pattern reflects what I call the mature love paradigm, a sophisticated understanding that true support often requires us to step back, creating space for the other's psychological development while maintaining an active, though less visible presence in their journey. Those who truly love you will demonstrate this understanding through their actions, even when these actions might appear as ignorance or distance to the untrained eye. Consider the psychological mechanism at work in what I term the differentiated support pattern. When someone truly loves you, they develop an acute sensitivity to the rhythm of your psychological needs. They understand intuitively when to step forward with direct support and when to step back, allowing you to face challenges that will foster your growth. This is not neglect. It is a sophisticated form of psychological attunement. Let us explore what I have observed as the action manifesto of genuine love. These individuals will engage in what I term conscious supporting behaviors, actions that demonstrate their commitment to your growth while respecting your psychological autonomy. They might quietly arrange introductions to key figures in your field of interest, maintain awareness of opportunities that align with your aspirations, or create conditions conducive to your development without seeking acknowledgement for their efforts. The psychological sophistication required for this type of love cannot be overstated. It demands what I would call an integrated emotional intelligence, the ability to distinguish between one's own need for connection and the actual requirements for the beloved's growth. Those who truly love you will have developed this capacity, enabling them to support your journey in ways that might not be immediately apparent, but prove crucial to your development. This brings us to what I term the paradox of conscious distance in relationships of depth. The individuals who truly love you will understand, perhaps not intellectually, but at a deep psychological level, that constant attention can become a form of psychological imprisonment. They recognize that true growth often requires what I call purposeful space, intervals of apparent separation that actually serve the development of both parties. Consider the archetypal pattern of the hero's journey in this context. The hero must often undertake crucial parts of their journey alone, yet they are rarely truly alone. Those who truly love them are often working in the background, creating conditions for their success, maintaining supporting structures, and preparing for their eventual triumph. This pattern repeats itself in relationships of genuine depth. Let us examine what I have observed as the action typography of authentic love. These individuals will demonstrate their commitment through what I term growth-supporting behaviors. Actions that might not provide immediate emotional gratification but serve the long-term development of the beloved. They might maintain silence when you need to find your own voice, step back when you need to face a challenge independently, yet remain actively engaged in creating conditions for your success. This brings us to a crucial understanding about what I call the maturity gradient in love relationships. Those who truly love you will have developed beyond what I term the dependency phase of relationship dynamics. They understand that true support often requires them to operate in ways that might appear distant or uninvolved to those who understand love only in its more primitive attachment-based forms. Consider the psychological sophistication required for what I term the conscious love paradigm. These individuals must maintain what I call a dual awareness, remaining deeply attuned to your needs while resisting the impulse to intervene in ways that might impede your necessary psychological development. This requires a level of emotional maturity that transcends conventional understandings of love and support. Let us explore what I have observed as the action matrix of genuine love. These individuals will engage in what I term development catalyzing behaviors, actions that might not provide immediate emotional comfort, but serve to facilitate your growth and advancement. They might challenge you when you need to grow, remain silent when you need to find your own answers, yet continuously work to create conditions that support your development. This pattern connects to what I call the individuation imperative in human psychological development. Those who truly love you will understand, perhaps unconsciously, that their role is not to provide constant attention, but to support your journey toward psychological wholeness. This understanding manifests through actions that might appear as ignorance, but actually represent a sophisticated form of support. Let us now integrate these profound understandings into what I term the complete psychological framework of authentic love and its manifestations. As we draw our exploration to its conclusion, we must address what I observe as the transformative synthesis of these seemingly contradictory patterns in human relationship. The individuals who truly love you will operate from what I call the integrated consciousness position, a psychological state where they can simultaneously maintain distance and demonstrate profound care through their actions. This paradox represents the highest form of psychological development in relationships, what I term the mature love constellation. Consider the profound implications of what I have observed as the action-distance dynamic. Those who genuinely love you will demonstrate what I call conscious absence-presence, the sophisticated ability to step back physically, while maintaining an active role in creating conditions for your growth and success. This is not mere distance, but rather what I term purposeful space creation in service of psychological development. Let me share a final observation from my years of studying human psychological patterns. I encountered a remarkable case of what I term mature love expression in a long-term partnership. One partner appeared to maintain significant emotional distance, leading to surface-level concerns about their commitment. However, a deeper analysis revealed an extraordinary pattern of supportive actions. They had created an elaborate network of opportunities for their partner's growth, maintained connections that prove invaluable to their partner's development, and consistently arranged circumstances that facilitated their partner's success, all while appearing to operate at a distance. This example perfectly illustrates what I call the sophisticated love paradigm, where genuine care manifests not through constant attention, but through meaningful actions that support the beloved's individuation process. Those who truly love you will operate from this advanced psychological position, understanding that true support often requires the courage to step back, while maintaining active engagement in your development. The psychological mechanism at work here connects to what I term the differentiated support matrix. These individuals have developed beyond the primitive need for constant validation of their importance in your life. They operate from what I call the integrated care position, where their actions demonstrate love, while their apparent distance serves your psychological growth. As we conclude our exploration, let us understand that this pattern represents what I term the highest form of psychological love. Those who truly love you will demonstrate this through what I call the conscious action trilogy. They will create opportunities for your growth, maintain supportive structures in your life, and facilitate your development, all while appearing to operate at a distance that actually serves your psychological evolution. This brings us to what I observe as the final integration of these seemingly contradictory patterns. The apparent ignorance of those who truly love you is in fact a sophisticated form of psychological attunement. Their distance is not absence, but rather what I term conscious space creation, a necessary condition for genuine psychological development. Remember, my friends, that true love operates through what I call the paradox of conscious development. Those who genuinely care for you will understand, perhaps not intellectually, but at the level of the collective unconscious, that their role is not to provide constant attention, but to support your journey towards psychological wholeness through meaningful actions. Let this understanding serve as a guide in your own relationships. When you encounter those who appear to ignore you, yet demonstrate their love through consistent, meaningful actions, recognize that you are experiencing what I term the mature love pattern. These individuals have achieved a level of psychological development that allows them to support your growth through what appears to be distance, but is actually sophisticated care. As we conclude, remember that this pattern represents the highest form of psychological love, what I term the integrated care paradigm. Those who truly love you will demonstrate this through their actions, even when these actions are coupled with what appears to be distance or ignorance. This is not a sign of neglect, but rather evidence of their sophisticated understanding of human psychological needs. May this understanding illuminate your path forward, helping you recognize and appreciate those who demonstrate their love, not through constant attention, but through meaningful actions that support your growth and development. For in this recognition lies the potential for what I term complete psychological integration, the ability to appreciate and respond to love in its most mature and sophisticated forms. Let us carry this wisdom forward, understanding that true love often operates in ways that challenge our conventional expectations, but serve our deeper psychological needs. Those who truly love you will demonstrate this through their actions, even when, and perhaps especially when, these actions are coupled with the space necessary for your psychological growth and development. And so, my friends, as we conclude our exploration of this profound psychological truth, remember that our highest form of love often manifests through this sophisticated pattern of apparent distance coupled with meaningful action. This understanding can transform your relationships, allowing you to recognize and appreciate love in its most mature and developed forms. This is the wisdom I leave with you today. The understanding that true love operates through this profound paradox, serving our psychological development in ways that may not always be immediately apparent, but prove crucial to our growth and individuation. May this knowledge guide you in recognizing and appreciating those who demonstrate their love not through constant attention, but through meaningful actions that support your journey toward psychological wholeness.